Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flick Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is officially my first video of 2019. 2019, here I am. All right, so this is going to be a simple video starting off with Aquaman box office. Aquaman fell a bit short of hitting 200 million on New Year's Eve, but it should have cracked it by now. We're going to have better numbers tomorrow. Should surge past 210 in domestic office. Might pass Venom today and enter top 10 films of 2018. This is, of course, coming from Gidesh Pandya, which I follow on for all box office stuff. And worldwide, almost 800. It should be 800 by now, I think. So it's getting up there. And there's already media, bloggers talking about how it's going to go past 900 million, probably crack the 1 billion mark. It seems to have far gone conclusion, things like that. And so that is great. That is perfect, right? That's all so awesome, and we know how awesome that is. I mean, for the DCEU to get up this level, it's probably going to be the top DCEU film, maybe even crack Dark Knight. Who knows? The sky's the limit in any case. And so Aquaman is the key here. Jason Momoa is the DCEU champion. Warner Brothers looking at him as the golden boy, the golden child here, right? The other interesting news drop from Birds of Prey will apparently be filming from January to mid-April, span of 4 months, very short, on a budget of around $63 million, including added tax credits granted by California, with an even wider likelihood of a Comic-Con panel and full-length trailer, of course, by July 2019. So that is great. And people are like, 63, that's it? Well, it's a smaller movie. There's not going to have too many special effects, so that's why the production is not going to be that long. So it's exciting because they're probably trying out their new costumes by now, and I can't wait to see what they look like. And so that is incredibly awesome. And because it's so short amount of time in production, they have a lot of time to finesse, maybe do some reshoots if they need to, and then we'll get ready to watch it next year. I was going to say 2 years from now, but it's literally next year now. So that's kind of cool. Birds of Prey is going to be there. Also, Daniel RPK, of course, some of you may not want to use him as a source. I totally understand, but he said that the Shazam second trailer will be coming out on January 19th. A few weeks from now, we'll possibly get to see a second trailer for Shazam. I want to see some action this time around. I want to see, we got all the setup and stuff like that, the jokes and stuff. I want to see some action. I want to see how far they're really hiding the VFX, the special effects, the fights and stuff like that in this one, or even the other bad guys other than Dr. Savannah, because they said there's other entities, right? He has to fight. So I'm wondering what it's gonna look like, and I can't wait to see if this second trailer comes out. I can't wait to see what that would look like. And so now let's get into a little more speculative things. This is put your tinfoil hat on. This is my first tinfoil hat edition of 2019. If you've followed me this long, you know my channel consists, if you've come down, consists of speculative stuff. So be aware before I get into this. This is coming from Louis Centeno, or Louis Centeno. He had contacted me and said about his source. Now we've talked about him before, and I want you to, a huge grain of salt, and just put your tinfoil hat on for this. I'm going to tell you what he kind of says, and I'm not going to say whether it's true or not. I have no idea. He could be right. He could be wrong. He could be totally make-believe or not. But let's just get into the nitty-gritty of what he said. So he says that because Jason Momoa is doing this and championing the Snyder Cut, and he's going to be the only actor to make DCEU into the billion-dollar club, the landscape's changing, like Gal Gadot says, and that what he's gonna do is leverage the Snyder Cut. Yeah, that's what Louis Centeno's source has said, that Aquaman is going to make a lot of money, and for the sequel or anything more, Jason Momoa is going to leverage the Snyder Cut and more movies. He also says that this is going to actually push Henry Cavill to make 2 more movies. Yes, very interesting stuff. Okay, now we don't know if it's true, legit, or whatever, but I also really, someone in my comments, I think his name is Jeffrey Daggs, I gotta look at it again, but he said that there was a focus group that went out to kind of get the feel of what people think about the current cast of characters playing the DC characters, whether we still like Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, things like that, and it's overly positive. Like the general public in this survey or whatever focus group wants to see these characters maintain, these actors and actresses maintain their characters throughout the DC extended universe, which is great. I gotta say it, which is great. And seeing that Jason Momoa's Aquaman, James Wan's Aquaman with Jason Momoa is working. Like I said before, James Wan, it's a director-driven film. Okay, check one, that works. Jason Momoa, Amber Heard in the same movie from the Snyderverse, if you will. That works. So these two things seem to work. A director-driven film, the Snyderverse characters, they all work. The current cast's characters, and so likely studios like, okay, I guess we don't have to reboot. I guess we don't have to play it safe. I guess we can continue on with these current actors and actresses playing these characters. This is all speculation now. I'm not saying any of this is true, but this is the kind of things I'm getting from Louis Centeno's or his sources has said. Now, like I said, don't believe everything you hear, but put in consideration on how like Screen Rant and DC Films Hub and even some other of my fellow YouTubers have talked about how Aquaman is a positive change. Because Aquaman's success, it may open up many doors, and so some of these doors could be these other things, how it branches out, not just for Jason Momoa, but for maybe his co-actors and co-actresses that he had starred with, that Zack Snyder had begun with, that he is showing, this movie is showing it works. It still works. We know Wonder Woman works. That's why she's getting a sequel. Whether that not a Flashpoint or not, I mean, Grace Randolph, I've heard doubled down. I listened to her last video about top movies of 2019, and she doubled down on it. She says, like, it's still going to happen, and she has more details. So I'm really interested what she's going to say, what these details are. Because, I mean, everybody has a story to tell. Everybody's got sources. We don't know who's right or wrong, but I like to speculate on factors of it, what can be make sense, what cannot make sense, right? Yes, this is the same guy who told me about, who's been on Twitter actually telling about how the Snyder Cut may be announced at Comic-Con. It's going to be released on November 1st, 2019. Yes, this is the same person, and yes, everybody has sources, like we all said. Bloggers have sources, they have sources, and all that. You know, there's sources everywhere. Who knows, right? And that's why we have the tinfoil hat on. It protects us from logic. It protects us from going too far. To have those, we're going to have high hopes, but we're going to have our expectations checked, you know. So don't expect anything, but hope for the best. So that's all I can say about that. And so whether it's true or not, I have no idea, but time will tell. And now he does say that Jay Oliva didn't actually shut him down. He just wants to know, why would anybody tell a person on the internet about this and things like that. But like I said before, Jay Oliva did go into the part where if it was going to be announced, it would be at some big event, not on the internet, right? It would be some big event from Zack Snyder himself. And I like that he said that, you know, just going into how he said, I like how he said it. He said that Zack Snyder himself would do it, announce it himself, and it would be at some big event like a Comic-Con. So that's good. That means that if and when, or if the Snyder Cut does get announced, it will be something big. It won't be something they're hiding under a rug. It won't be like on a streaming service, I don't think. It would actually be something big, and something big at an event type big. So the logical solution would be at a Comic-Con, and the largest Comic-Con, of course, is San Diego Comic-Con. So that could happen in terms of if you're thinking it about that way. I don't know anything, but I'm just saying. But at the same time, I don't want to expect that, and I don't think I want you guys to expect that as well. It'd be a great, huge, fantastic surprise to have in the middle of the year, and just having them say, or Zack Snyder come out announce it, it's just winning enough for us that it would be incredibly awesome and stuff. But I don't want to expect that. I don't want to expect that. And so, to be fair to everybody who says that we should see it and things like, I totally understand. I totally get you. We want to get excited about a certain date and things like that. But there are tons of DCEU content that's probably coming out for San Diego Comic-Con. Get excited for that. If just a huge, gigantic world of an if that the Snyder Cut does get announced, it will be a huge surprise, like whipped cream on the top, cherry on top. What am I talking about? Cherry on top of the cake, you know. And that would be a great thing. I don't want you guys to expect it. I don't ask you to expect it. I don't want to expect it. But these are just rumblings, and the logical place, if they're gonna really, if like Jay Olivia said, if they ever were gonna announce it and they want to be a big event, it would be at a Comic-Con. And I love that. That means they really put an effort. Warner Brothers wants to put an effort to give the fans what they want, and they wanted to make a big deal out of it. You know, they're gonna come out and in a way announce it and say, sorry, this is the real version, right? But we could also get into other speculative things later on about what if it's not the Snyder Cut and it's evolved into something else, then that could be a possibility in itself. That way they can work it into the DCEU without having to say Justice League was a mistake, even though we know deep down it is. I mean, so I don't know how that's going to work out, but in any case, I like what some of these people are saying in terms of what the possibilities, and what type of doors could open up with Aquaman reaching reaching the $1 billion club status. Okay, so just take all this in as kind of like a wish list, if you will. The best case scenarios for anything could happen when Aquaman reaches the $1 billion club. Like I said, in summary, if Aquaman, this is the best case scenario for fans who are invested into Snyder Cut, Snyderverse, and all that. This is our wish list. Aquaman reaches $1 billion club. It opens doors for the current actors and actresses to reprise their roles as their characters in their own films. Meaning Man of Steel sequel, which we did, which is Batman v Superman, but what they really mean is like a Superman standalone sequel. So Superman comes back. Wonder Woman 84 is already going to happen. We're may get Cyborg. We may get or Ezra Miller Flash. We're going to hear more about that. We're going to get another Aquaman movie. Things like that. Things of those caliber will happen Okay, wish list of what could happen when we reach and when Aquaman reaches the $1 billion club. Also, leverage maybe if Jason Momoa so wishes to throw that within the contract, saying that I want Zack Snyder to be able to release his cut or have it worked on and have it put out. That's also a giant wish list, if you will, if Aquaman reaches the $1 billion club. So that's great as well, and we'll see how that happens going on forward. For DCEU fans who don't care about the Snyderverse, it basically comes down to DCEU Warner Brothers has more faith in the DCEU now. They're ready to move forward. They keep making more films in the DCEU with the current production regime of Walter Hamada, Chantal Nung, Jim Lee being the DC Entertainment, and maybe James Wan will get more films. We'll get another Aquaman. We're going to get to go into the other stuff without rebooting anything. We're not going to see a new Aquaman. We're not going to see a new Wonder Woman, things like that. So for the DCEU fans who have liked it so far, don't quite care too much about Snyder Cut or Snyderverse, be at peace, because that means they're going to keep forward on. They're going to keep continuing on without having to start over and explaining everything over again. We get to see more stories now. We won't have to see origin stories so much from characters we've already seen. You know what I mean? So that's why we're going to get Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman, Flash, and we'll keep going forward. So for you guys, that's it. But for the Snyder Cut fans, there is some hope in that as well. So that is it for the first day of 2019, and we're gonna have a lot more videos coming up. Like I said, I just thought of something about Justice League Snyder Cut, and it's inspired by people who have said, how can the Snyder Cut come out? What type of variations and stuff? Now, people have gone into comic books, but I'm wondering, like someone had suggested before, what it could be altered into a different type of movie using existing Snyder Cut. Who knows? But we'll get into that speculative dream wish list later, and maybe tomorrow, depending on what comes out. All right, guys. Well, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.